Alright, so I've been selling sneakers since 2023 started, so a bit over a month now. And I can say that's a totally viable side hustle that some people make their main source of income. Now, even though I'm by no means a shoe expert or a reselling expert, I think I have some tips and some knowledge that would definitely speed up your process. And there are things that I wish I knew. They would save me time and a lot of money for sure. That's the beauty about it. It's a low barrier to entry, and if I can start it, even though I have no past experience or knowledge about reselling, it's something that anyone can start this, including you. So in this video, I'm basically going to be showing you a guide on how to start your reselling business, and I'm going to give you 7 steps to basically kickstart your side hustle. Before we get started, I wanted to address some things. Now, because a lot of people have misconceptions when it comes to reselling sneakers, and one of them is that, it's too saturated, it's just oversaturated. Even if there were 1,000 resellers in your city, you can basically climb up the ladder and become one of the best sellers in your area by many things. You can improve your reputation, you can just have better deals, you can have more sizes and you can just source better, and you can basically utilize many marketplaces. And that's actually another misconception that people have, is that you can only resell using the classical Instagram page. That's actually wrong, because I'm going to be showing you many ways in which you can sell sneakers. So step 1 is actually identifying your budget. And this is actually an important step, because to buy your first pair of shoes to sell, you need the money to actually buy them. And it can be between $100, $500, $1,000, but I would generally recommend between $100 to $500 just to start and get your first couple pairs. You can easily get this money by selling old stuff that you don't use anymore, asking parents or friends for money. You can even join with a partner and basically split up the investment. But I'd recommend just doing it by yourself, because you don't really need a partner to do all of this. It's simple. You'll see. Another thing you can do, which I did as well, is basically sell old or used sneakers to get that capital, and you can also use that as your first pairs to sell with your business. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1, and that's what I did. I took my siblings' used sneakers and just sold that as one of my first pairs. Now that you have a budget, you can then consider what type of shoes to get. Some things to consider are the brand, the style, the sizing, so men's, women's, grade school, whatever, toddler. Most people go with hype sneakers, but then some people can go with Vans, and I don't know. There's so many shoes to sell, and it's just up to you to consider what you think is logical. But you also have to consider that Jordans, Nikes, and Adidas are the most famous brands, and usually people buy sneakers from those brands. One thing I'd say is stay consistent with the shoes you're selling. Don't go from some random dad shoes to then Jordan 1s. Okay, so I have the money, I know what shoes I want to get, but where am I going to get them from? And that's step 3, is sourcing the sneakers. You see those YouTube videos of people buying 10,000 sneakers at once and getting each sneaker for $60 and then resell them for $200. That's not going to be you at first, because you're not going to have that reputation and build those connections that the top dogs have. So you're going to have to rely on local marketplaces, like Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, Craigslist, and whatever you have in your area that you can use to your advantage. At first, you're going to be browsing for hours trying to find the best deal. But what I started to do to basically eliminate that whole process of searching for the best deal is I just post an ad on Marketplace or Kijiji and say that I want to buy shoes, sell me your shoes. And that way you're basically getting sellers that are actually interested in giving away their shoes. And another benefit is that those people actually selling their shoes to you will be more willing to decrease their price. So that way you get a better deal. One thing I'll say though is try to buy in bulk, so even 2 pairs, 3 pairs, or even more, so you can get better deals. And especially if you're buying them from the same person, you can get a discount on each shoe and basically get a better deal. I understand it's hard when you're starting at first, but when you get more capital and more reputation and connections, it's going to be much easier, and you're going to find yourself getting each shoe for much cheaper. Alright, so you got your shoes now. Where are you going to sell them? How are you going to sell them? You can approach this in two ways. The classical way being, selling on Instagram. Or what most people don't know is that you can sell your shoes on big marketplaces like StockX, Go. They're specialized for sneakers. The benefit with that is instead of just selling to your local area, you can now sell to the global market. There's no limit really to, how big your audience is. The reason why most people just go with regular Instagram pages and sell locally is because they can charge premiums in each shoe they sell. This is because the customers don't really have to wait for StockX or Go or eBay or whatever you're buying your shoes from. They don't have to wait a week or two to get their shoes. They can just get them right away. So the resellers basically take advantage of that and charge more for their sales. So yeah, that might sound good, but you're limited to the amount of people in your area. And that's where, platforms like StockX and Go come in, because you can sell your shoes on there, and even though you'll pay some fees for the app and the whole transaction and the shipping, all those fees, now you have access to the whole global marketplace and you can get your shoes sold there much faster. Obviously there's downside to this, as you get charged fees and transaction fees, all that. So that lowers your margins of profit. But the thing with platforms like StockX is, the more you sell, the less your fees become, because they trust you as a seller. Another thing you have to be aware of when selling on these platforms is that you have to basically get the shipping supplies as well. So the shipping boxes, the packing tape, and something to protect the shoebox in the in the shipping box. So like something like bubble wrap or newspaper, whatever you can find. So obviously that comes at a cost as well. If that wasn't enough, these platforms also require your shoe to be in perfect condition and the box as well to be in perfect condition. If they're not satisfied with it, they'll just send it back to you and you pay a fee as well. Something like this, it will probably pass, but even then, like you can see this crease right here, like you won't be 100% confident if it's gonna pass through the check or not. But what I do is use a strategy and use both those methods to get me the most sales and the most money, and I'll talk about that in just a bit. Alright, so we're on number 6 now, and it's about all the setup. Alright, so if you're going on the Instagram route, you want a good username. You want something that's not taken. You can go to those name generator websites and get inspiration for what your username should be. One thing I'd say though is, even though a lot of people are doing this, just don't include your city or your country in your username, because it basically limits you to your audience as well, right? Because if you wanted to then later ship to the rest of the country or the rest of the world, it's just gonna be a little bit confusing. You don't want that. Put some keywords that relate to sneakers, shoes, or I don't know, style, or whatever the type of shoes you're selling, but make it unique. After that's done, make a quick logo. Go to Canva. Canva's simple and it's free, so just make your logo quickly on there. You don't need to spend much time on it. Your bio can be simple as well. Here you can actually state where you're located. You can, I don't know, maybe say the type of transactions you do, like if you trade, if you buy, if you sell, all that stuff. You can get inspiration from other sneaker resellers. So all of that is done. Now it's time for you to publish your first post. You want to make this your reference post. Make sure to pin this. You've probably seen this on other reselling pages, but they do this to basically build a reputation and personal brand. Whenever someone does business with you, basically ask them to leave down a comment. Customers in the future are going to have more trust in you, because there's a lot of scammers in this community, so you have to be aware of that as well, especially when you're buying. And then when you acquire your first pair of shoes, try to get some good lighting and have a clean background, and basically make it unique. Make your background unique. Everyone does it differently. Some people do it on turf, on just wood. Some people do it outside in nature, or with like a cool painting in the background. Just make it unique to yourself, and it'll definitely make your page more aesthetic, and people will be drawn to that. Another thing that I do is make reels for every shoe that I have, and that way I just get more content and more exposure on Instagram, and I use those same clips and post them on a TikTok with the same username. Just gets me more views and potentially more customers. That's pretty much for Instagram. Now let's go with StockX. Now I'm doing StockX because that's the only platform that I actually have experience with. I don't really use Go, but if you wanted to become a seller there, you'd basically have to make a StockX seller account. provide your information, get verified. So when you're done getting verified and all that, you basically just go in the search bar and search for the pair that you have. You select the size, and you can just press the sell button and place your ask. You place your bid, and you probably want to place your bid as the lowest, even if it's just by $1, because that's the ask that's going to show up to customers when they want to buy that pair in that size. What people can do as well is bid, and if you think the bid is high enough, you can just sell it on their bid instead of the ask. So after the sale is completed, you package your sneaker and drop it at UPS, I think within 48 hours, so within 2 days, just to avoid any penalties or fees. And yeah, that's basically it. You get paid once the customer actually receives their shoes. So I told you that I use both methods as my strategy, and I'm going to explain that right now. I basically list the shoes on my Instagram and have all the prices up there. And, I'll wait a week, maybe 2 weeks, and see if they sell or not. So if they sell, that's great. If not, then that's when I'm going to list them on StockX. That way, even though I get less money as, after the fees and all that, I'm still going to get my sale, and I'm still going to get a little bit of profit. And that way I basically ensure that I'm going to sell the shoes. So that's not something I'm really worried about. Also, I'm just going to show you my Instagram page if you wanted any inspiration, with the username, with the logo, bio, even the photography, and how I designed my page. Before I end this video, I wanted to give you guys, a few tips that would help you in your business and, get you more customers. And some of these will even save you time and potentially money. Now, the first thing that I wanted to emphasize was, focus really on customer service, because, without your customers, you're not really going to make any sales. This specifically implies if you're doing an Instagram page method. If you're not going to take care of your customers, they're not going to come back, or they're not even going to make the first sale. If your customer can't pick up the shoes, maybe try to be willing to meet in between or even deliver. And something you can add on is like a card with on the back you can be you can use this card for an extra 10% off on your next purchase. That way you're increasing the retention of your customers, you're getting more business, and you're taking care of your customers. They're going to feel, taken care of. Another tip was, all about safety, and is never meet up at a sketchy place or at a sketchy time. Even though it's straightforward and simple, a lot of people just don't even think about this. And why would you cost your safety and security for a side hustle? At the end of the day, it's making a bit of money, especially at first, so you shouldn't be risking your safety for that. What I'd say is meet up at daylight and at a public place, like at a plaza or in front of a store, in front of a restaurant, so somewhere public where they can't really do any sketchy stuff. Another thing I wanted to talk about, was all about avoiding scam, and whether it's making sure your shoes are legit and you're not getting scammed by and getting a rep. You can do your own checking and basically check the tongue and whatever, the sole, the insole. But honestly, it just comes with experience, what looks wrong, what looks real. So what I do is basically check them using the Legit Check app. And I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's really what I use. And basically I think you pay $2 for every Legit Check, and it's just straightforward. It takes up to less than half an hour to Legit Check them, and I think it uses a bot and a human, and they both legit check the shoes and they tell you if it's authentic or not. And it'll save you a lot of money, in case you're actually falling for a trap and someone's selling you reps. Now, another way to avoid a scam is when buying stuff online. So when you're buying from another person online, you have to make sure that they're legit. I learned this the hard way, and I lost money because the guy gave me a good deal and I was like, oh, he seems legit, he has some followers, but little did I know he just bought the followers, and all added up, he didn't seem real after all. And that's something that you need to look out for and make sure you're doing business with real people and genuine people. Now, the last tip I wanted to give you was that sometimes you just have to take the little profits instead of getting that best deal. This is especially true when you're first starting, and when not many people know you, they're not going to be willing to pay top price for your products. So sometimes you're going to have to cut down on the price just so you can build up your reputation, and then over time, when people can trust you, they'll pay that top dollar. Alright, so that was it. I hope you truly found value in this video. And since you're into business and making money, Click and watch this video about other ways you can invest your money, and take care, bro.